they've played much better basketball, cleaner basketball down the stretch of the season.
So here we go. The only game of the day, the 10 and the 11 seed, and the tip is controlled by San Diego. Devin Dalkey, who's been around USD for a long time, his third year in the program. That counts as a long time these days in college hoops. And so is this guy, Steven Jamerson, had the ball poked away. That's a turnover to start the game for the Toreros. Starting lineups brought to you by Credit Union 1, the starting five for Pacific, including that guy, first bucket of the game for Elias Ralph.
He is the Swiss Army knife for Dave Smart. He can do a little bit of everything. He'll post it, he'll pick and pop. He came from the Canadian basketball ranks as well, and he has really stepped into a nice role.
It's not a coincidence that three of the top players for Pacific are from Canada, with Dave Smart and all his time there. Second straight turnover. You see the Toreros starting five. No team in college basketball used more different starting lineups. Nobody in college hoops than USD.
Well, it's been for a number of different reasons. Injuries, which we'll touch on throughout the broadcast, but also trying to give young players a chance in different environment with different rotations. It's been a work in progress for Coach Lavin for sure.
That was a travel by Elijah Fisher, who got to the basket but then turned it over. 17 different starting lineup combinations this year for San Diego.
And you look at that on the flip side, St. Mary's, who won the league this year, they are one of two teams in the country that had the same starting lineup for every single game.
An amazing contrast between the top team in the league and the bottom team. Fisher, that's what he does. Elijah Fisher takes it all the way for a 4-0 Pacific lead.
That is his game to a T. He's always in attack mode. Top 15 in the country in free throw attempts.
That's another San Diego turnover. Dalkey picked up his pivot foot and traveled.
That's an area they've been much better as of late. Duckett, Dalkey combined for 0 turnovers against 12 assists in the win against Portland.
It's almost 2 minutes in. Lamar Washington has set the all-time single-season Pacific record for assists this year. And you like his game?
He's more of a natural scorer than a point guard, but you can see that he's had growth throughout the season. Making pick-and-roll reads, drive and kick, finding opportunities for others.
Shot clock was winding down. Ball knocked out of bounds off of San Diego. The shot clock reads 1.
This is where you got to be on the same page, understanding inbounder as well as the guy who catches it. You got to get a shot off quick.
Real quick. Fisher did not. So that's a shot clock violation. Toreros get it back.
And Fisher's defense, as opposed to the game clock when it's under a minute, there'll be milliseconds. You don't get a fraction of a second on the shot clock.
Let's see if Toreros can get a shot off. Turnovers, huge issue here in the first couple minutes. Quick catch and shoot, and that's Cody Cluett, who had the big game in the season finale, the regular season finale, makes his first three here today.
You mentioned that big game. 35 points, 8 of 10 from the three-point line. They find a number of ways to get him open. That time a cross screen to a down screen.
Ralph open, and he bricked it against a zone look from the Toreros. That's another thing San Diego will do, change up their defenses. Meanwhile, Pacific almost exclusively a man-to-man team. And Tony Duckett, who you spotlighted off the top. Nice-looking jumper.
He's been a nice addition for Steve Lavin. Right down the road in Carlsbad, California, not too far from campus. You want to be able to keep your local players home with whatever program you are in, whether it's Spokane kids going to Gonzaga, Bay Area kids going to St. Mary's, San Francisco, Santa Clara. You want to recruit your backyard.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of that from Cody Cluett. He launched that one from way outside and missed it. The Pacific got the first 4 points of this game. Since then, the Toreros on a 5-0 run. Washington misses the pull-up jumper and a foul on the floor against San Diego.
Get another look at the Cluett three-pointer. He sets a screen, and then he receives a screen, puts the defense in a bind as far as communicating out responsibilities. before Duckett's able to knock down the mid-range jumper on his own.
Here's Fisher on the attack again. Got cut off. Good defense by Cluett. But a Kravaca pitch in for the first time. That's Ralph on the baseline. And Elias Ralph with his second basket. He is a good player.
He's very talented. He's able to score it inside out. And I think one of the things that Coach Smart really likes about him is, he comes from that FIBA brand of basketball where versatility is key.
Dalkey commits the open court foul on Washington. So that stops play and takes us to our first timeout. The WCC Championship on the men's side is underway. The 10 versus the 11 and an early 6-5 Pacific lead. Beautiful day outside in Las Vegas. Day 1 of 6. We got 6 days consecutively of championship basketball. 10 games in total. This one gets it started. San Diego and Pacific. The winner of this one will face LMU. And both teams played LMU tough this year. I think actually, considering how few games these two won in the regular season, they both believe that if they can win this first one, they have a bracket where they actually have a chance maybe to go on a little run.
And we've seen that not just in the West Coast Conference with multiple leagues. A team with belief and getting on the same page at the right time of year can make a run.
Fisher commits the offensive foul. Plus, you get a little advantage. I know it's daunting to think we got to win 6 games in 6 days. That seems hard. But you play here today, get some of the nerves of tournament play out, and then tomorrow, if you advance, maybe you get a little edge against your opponent that hasn't played yet. Nice move by Jamerson, who dunks it home.
Terrific drop step from Jamerson with the authoritative finish. But you're right. There's the game of basketball is a game of rhythm. And the fact is that you can get in a rhythm sooner in a tournament, you've got an advantage, especially against a team like LMU that has struggled with inconsistency throughout the year. Nice entry pass, good spacing. Ralph doesn't fully commit to the double team. Jazz Gardner allows him to drop step around for the finish.
I'm not using this as a selling point necessarily, but first 5 minutes, I can't remember 5 minutes with more traveling violations. Well, that's a lot of travels.
Neither team has had issues, as there's a terrific execution there leading to the Duckett catch and finish. But neither team has struggled with turnovers throughout the year. Neither team is a high-pressure team. It's just offensive miscues with their footwork or throwing the ball away.
Almost a turnover there. The pitch almost dribbled it off his leg. Washington, they were sort of daring Lamar Washington to shoot. He tries a lob to Gardner, and that was not a great pass. In transition, Cluett with the left hand. A lot of contact, no whistle. Kind of out of control there. Washington this time does deliver it down low to Jazz Gardner.
Well, previous play, it was the right idea, the lob over the top where only Gardner can catch it. The only problem is he threw what needed to be a 12-foot pass about 6 feet. That time delivers it right on target around the defender where Gardner only has to catch and finish.
Torreira's offense has looked much better since the first couple minutes. Duckett pull-up jumper. No. Nice offensive rebound. Then the shot blocked by Gardner. Fisher in transition. You kind of knew he wasn't going to stop. He had it stripped away. Santiago Truitt, a young big man from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now the reset with Dalkey. Cluett to Jamerson.
That's an area of his game that has shown improvement throughout this season. A year ago, I remember him as being an offensive rebound putback type guy. He had a drop step to a dunk earlier. That time, catches in the short roll. Nice little floater over the top.
Good defense closeout by Jamerson on the shooter. Here's Ralph along the baseline. Reverse is good.
Truitt on the weak side. Slow to respond.
Dalkey quickly on this end. Draws a foul. So the Toreros have a 1-point lead. We're talking about Steven Jamerson, the big man, number 24, who's been in this program for a long time. He has kind of an interesting story. He went to Michigan State initially just as a student, not to play hoops. Was a good high school player, not a great high school player. Decided he missed the game, came back to USD, and started as a real role guy, but has earned his way into big minutes the last few years. Has had a nice career.
Well, you love seeing those kind of stories. I mean, you know, a lot of times you get away from a team-type setting, you realize how much you miss it, how much you'd love to still be a part of it. And for Jamerson to get that opportunity coming back to USD, that is a great story.
2-point lead for the Toreros after one free throw there. Seth Jones in for the first time. Ralph wraps a pass. Gardner dunks it home. Wow.
Jeez, that was with authority. But again, it's Ralph with his versatility. Catch the ball in the middle of the floor against the zone. Put the defense in a bind as far as rotations, and then he's a good decision maker at that fourth position.
Duckett up and under. Found a way to get it in.
Duckett's got all the makings of a big-time scorer in the WCC. He's explosive. He can shoot it well enough from three to make you honor it. And then the last piece is he's aggressive.
You can see why he was named as part of that all-freshman team in this league. Washington runner, good with a foul. So a nice move by Lamar Washington. He ties the game, and he'll have a chance to put Pacific ahead.
You're going to press. You got to make sure all your responsibilities are covered. Ralph finding Gardner for the finish over the top, and the lefty Washington, this time with the right. Flow offensively, and that's been the case here this afternoon. 7 Pacific turnovers. If they take care of the ball, this might be a different story early on because they're 7 of 9 from the field.
Yeah, 7 turnovers in 8 minutes. That's a lot.
Pacific not a team that necessarily turns it over a ton either. They play at a slower pace, and they want to play in the half court more so than in transition.
David Simon in off the bench for the Toreros. So is Joey Chama, who gives it up to Duckett. Tough contested shot. That was good defense. And the rebound for the Tigers. Seth Jones launches a three. No good. Rebound tapped to San Diego. Chama, he's been a spark plug for them off the bench at times. Whistle away from the ball, and I think that's going to be a foul against Pacific. Jazz Gardner commits the personal. Benji Pierre and Jamerson back in the game.
USD has struggled on the glass the first 8-9 minutes. Pierre, he is a big, strong body underneath as he comes in right away, knocks down a baseline jumper. But he's someone they look to solidify the glass.
That's being ready to get in the game. He was in for a second and made a shot. How about that move in transition by Elias Ralph?
Back to Simon on that baseline, or excuse me, Pierre on that baseline jumper. Most coaches tell you to come in, be ready, but if you take a shot that quickly, you might be coming right back out.
It takes a little confidence to pull the trigger that fast. Duckett, how do you give it up? There was. Chama, meanwhile, goes down the lane, missed it, tipped back in by Jamerson.
Third in the conference in rebounding is Jamerson. You got to block him out because he will create problems throughout the night, such as that tip-in.
There's Elias Ralph again, finding that opening in the middle of the San Diego defense a bunch of times.
He's been really good at getting to that middle against his pressure. San Diego started in a 1-2-2. They've gone to a two-guard front now in that trap. Good recognition from Pacific to break it.
We've already had 8 lead changes in this game. That's what we talked about the last time these two teams met. It's a back-and-forth game the whole way through. That's Kravakovic, who knocks down the three from the left side.
Well, I think what you see from both of these teams, granted, you look at the results, 10th and 11th in the league, and their record, they're more competitive than, you would expect out of this. San Diego's been beset with injuries. Pacific, they've had a number of guys in new positions learning on the fly, so to speak, because it's essentially a new roster.
Jazz Gardner running the floor, draws the foul. He'll go to the free throw line. Well, while you watch West Coast Conference action, join the conversation using hashtag WCC Hoops. And for the latest news, features, and more, follow WCC Hoops on X. A lot of time for conversation over the next week. A lot of basketball here from Vegas as Gardner misses the first of 2 free throws.
So many people talk about the first weekend of the NCAA tournament being the best weekend, and it's hard to argue against it. The only week that you could maybe argue against it is the 10 days or so leading up to Selection Sunday, when you have these conference tournaments. You can go to a site and watch more basketball than you would ever want to in your life, regardless of level.
I agree. And, this tournament, you think back over the last, say, decade, how many memorable games on this floor in this building we've had. And not just championship games, although a lot of the great memories are the Zags and the Gales or BYU when they were in this league. But some incredible scoring duels, overtime games. Shot clock winding down. Pierre for 3, left side, off rim, no good. Chris Caney's in the game, grabbed the defensive board for Pacific. Washington threw a lob, and I don't think Ralph was ready to go up and get it. 2-on-1. Dahlke missed the layup in transition. Simon hustling down the floor. David Simon puts it in.
I thought Dahlke was fouled on the initial layup attempt, but for USD, grateful that wasn't called. Simon, right place, right time.
Jefferson Coulibaly hands it back to Lamar Washington. Down low, nice pass and a foul. Jamerson hit the floor, and I may have tripped Chris Caney's whistle blew.
Well, that kind of shows you a little bit of the good and bad of Lamar Washington the last couple of possessions. Has a turnover or two, not throwing in the right position, but on that pick and roll, comes off, help side, turns their head. He hits the back cut guy in a very small window, leading to Keens at the line for a pair. So you see the ability to make the right play. It's just the consistency for Washington at that point guard position.
First free throw good. 4-point lead for Pacific. That was the second foul against Steven Jamerson. So he'll come out. Simon thought he was coming out. No, David, you stay in. The guy with the 2 fouls is coming out. That's a loss for San Diego because Jamerson's been very active.
Yeah, but as a player, if you're Simon, even though you think you might be coming out, you don't take yourself out of the game. You wait till the coach waves you over or your teammate said, yes, I am in for you. It's a little trick of the trade.
Yeah. Don't make it look like you're eager to come out of the game.
Exactly right.
Dahlke right side, hits Simon, that elbow area. Simon started to play better as the season went on. He finally got healthy. That was a pretty good move.
The ability to finish with the left, impressive. He's got length. Got to bulk up a little bit more over the course of his career, but Steve Lavin likes the trajectory his career is going on.
He's a Canadian. Ralph, man, tough shot, in and out, no good. Rebound, San Diego. A drive all the way, no good with the left hand. Ball knocked around. Trauma fighting for it, and now a timeout. Seth Jones got the ball and called timeout. Saves possession for the Tigers, who have it, and a 3-point lead. We'll be back right after this.
Last season, 18 and 15 a year ago, they looked like they were about ready to take the next step, but injuries and the normal process of college basketball these days, of the NIL and the transfer portal, making sure you keep the right guys is important. I don't think they necessarily did that as well as they were hoping to.
Caney's bounced it to nobody, almost bounced it right to Coach Lavin. That's the 9th Pacific turnover, and that doesn't make Dave Smart real happy.
Well, I'm sure that face has been made a lot this year in close games, but you look at it, they're shooting the ball at a high clip, 10 of 14 from the field. You cut those turnovers in half and you continue to shoot at the level you are, you've got a chance to really extend this lead.
There's David Simon again off the bounce and finishing with the left hand. David Simon's had all kinds of injury issues, broken foot, broken hand. Now that he's back healthy, probably coming off his best game in the season finale. Washington.
Good patience on the pick and roll. His ability to go left or right really allows him to put the defense in a bind. And that's the second time he's been able to finish with a floater.
Truitt, spin move baseline, and then dribbled it out of bounds. He was about to have a layup or a dunk.
They had good spacing on that opportunity to drop the ball into him on the low block. Just got sped up just enough where he couldn't keep control of the basketball.
Tony Duckett back in place of Devin Dahlke. Elias Ralph also checked back in for Pacific. He's been their top offensive option so far. He's already got 10 points in this first half.
They've featured him as being the primary playmaker in their press break. Get him the ball in the middle of the floor in space and let him make the right decision.
Koulibaly, I thought he was going to get all the way to the rim, pick the dribble up. Fisher, no good. Simon from way outside, no good.
Simon has been aggressive. Averages a shade over 4 points per game. Short minutes this afternoon. He's already taken 5 shots.
He also made a little defensive mistake there. Leaned into Ralph, shooting a fadeaway and committed the personal. That's his second foul. Jamerson already on the bench with 2. So Elias Ralph, part of that good shooting you're talking about, 5 of 7 for him so far. Gets 2. 75% free throw shooter on the year. And he misses the first. Coming up at the half, the Sterling Global Financial Championship Central halftime show. Eric Rothman, Ernie Kent. We were talking to those two before this game. Break down the first half. Big picture look at this WCC tournament. Great year for this conference. Maybe the deepest has been, if not ever, in a long time. Ralph missed both free throws.
Well, clearly, you look at the top of the league, St. Mary's was dominant. Gonzaga looks to be a lock to go back to the NCAA tournament, but San Francisco and Santa Clara are really good basketball teams. They are now on a number of bracketologists' bubble watch list. Oregon State has had some good wins, in particular at home against Gonzaga. But Washington State, they were looking every bit the part of a upper-tier contender until injuries really hit them midway through the season.
It would not surprise anybody if one of those 3 teams you just mentioned outside of the top 2, Oregon State, Santa Clara, San Francisco, Duckett with a drive and a miss, made it to the championship game and had a chance to win the championship of this league. Ralph drives, missed it. Not in transition. Passed up the 3 to get to the free throw line and then came up short. Chama missed it.
But that was, when you take a look back at the last time out in the All Access with Steve Lavin, he was talking about footwork and not rushing it. Joey Chama, a perfect example there of getting set, getting on balance.
Yeah, Pacific, the turnover issues have just been massive. Not a very good pass. Duckett came up with it and scored anyway.
You're right, Dave. The turnovers for Pacific are absolutely hampering their ability to really take control of this basketball game.
Well, I was in Ames, Iowa a couple nights ago for a terrific, really an amazing game. BYU, Iowa State. Washington scores with a little contact. BYU won that game on the road against a top 10 team with 29 turnovers.
Unheard of.
Seems impossible. They did it, though. Pacific, they've turned it over 10 times already, and they lead by 3. Hey, maybe.
And this facility, in my opinion, is in the top 2 or 3% in the entire West Coast. So we're excited about what that's going to do for the entire, both programs, but also for recruits to come in and see that on a day-to-day basis is going to be just pretty massive.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Jordan. San Diego does have the ball here. Final 3.5 minutes of this first half. That's a Torero's turnover. Washington, the lead pass. And into the corner for an open 3. No good. Great look. Ralph offensive rebound. Ralph, another basket for him. Elias Ralph has been very active.
He's been really good, but I think the difference maker of that possession, Koulibaly, the extra pass, finding the open shooter in the corner, didn't quite knock it down, but puts defense in rotation.
12 points for Elias Ralph. Now the point that Jordan was talking about with the San Diego athletic director about the women's team winning already today. We were here watching the end of that game. That's a team that did struggle during the season. Block shot and out of bounds. So San Diego will keep it. But the happiness of that group when they won even just that one game. I mean, it was a very cool scene, getting a chance to play another day, take one more step. You got a lot of steps to take, but another step closer to a league championship.
Well, that's the thing about March is regardless of how your season has gone up until that point, you have an opportunity to start fresh. And you've seen it at all different levels. If you can get hot and believe at the right time of year, they can do special things.
Simon had it knocked away. They're going to call a foul, though. Ralph reached in, a personal foul against him. So 2 free throws coming up for David Simon. That was Jeffrey Anderson who called that foul. He and I now have a bond forever. I was talking about that game the other night in Iowa. There was a blizzard after the game. Jeffrey was there. So was Brett Smith, actually. 2 of the 3 officials in this game were with me in Iowa for Iowa State BYU. It was very, very hard to get here today.
Yeah, you were telling a bit of your planes, trains, and automobiles story. Our listeners are glad that I'm not doing dual roles right now.
It was a possibility. Dan was going to have to brush up on his play-by-play. But those 2 officials and I, we sort of shared a hug when we saw each other today. The fact that we somehow made it to Las Vegas. Washington draws the foul, and I think that's against Simon. And if it is, that's his 3rd personal in this first half.
And late whistle, but it was the correct call from the official. But Lamar Washington continues to show growth in his decision-making. Yes, I talked about a couple of his turnovers, bad passes. But when he's committed to scoring, gets the defense just a little bit out of position, off balance, he is really decisive getting to the rim.
Makes the first of 2 free throws. He was a very good high school player in the Pacific Northwest. Went to Texas Tech, spent 2 years in the Big 12. Didn't play a whole lot. Came to Pacific and has really blossomed. Missed that second free throw. Steve Lavin sticking with David Simon and his 3 fouls here in the first half.
A lot of it is probably not wanting Jamerson to come in and get his 3rd. Some coaches, it's a hard sit when you pick up that 3rd in the first half.
Simon draws a foul here. Didn't finish, and I think was a little unhappy that he didn't, but he'll go back to the free throw line. He has been a confident offensive player. He's committed the fouls on the other end, but he's been a nice spark off the bench.
Well, you see the tools. He moves well on the perimeter. He can handle it well enough where you can run dribble handoff actions with him as the initiator. He's got the freedom to shoot it beyond the three-point line, although at 32%, you haven't seen necessarily the results that you were hoping for down the road. But when you watch the release coming off his hand, it looks good for a big.
Simon made both. He shoots those free throws right-handed. He loves his left hand, too. You can see the skill level. Fisher almost had it stolen away and then got fouled. And that might be Simon.
Chama needs to raise his hand and try to take this foul for his teammate.
I don't know. I don't know the last time I saw him in the first half have 4 personal fouls.
That also comes to your own individual awareness, though, of the situation. Yeah, Fisher got the ball in the middle of the paint. The defense is collapsing, but understanding you already have 3. You play defense with your positioning, not with your hands.
And by the way, he's not coming out. Elijah Fisher makes the first free throw. He has 4 fouls, and I guess now he's going to come out. I was kind of hoping they'd just ride with him the whole way.
That would have been a very interesting decision.
And trust me, I wasn't rooting for it, but if he fouled out in the first half, you think that's ever happened?
I'm sure it has. I just can't recall having seen that myself.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let it happen here. But Simon goes to the bench. Both free throws for Pacific. They lead by 5. 2 minutes to go plus here in this first half. Only game of the day on the men's side in this WCC championship. In the corner, double team, and Washington anticipated the pass, now leads Ralph. One step, Ralph missed it. But they'll call a foul from behind.
Great double team from Pacific when Truitt caught the ball. Leads to a steal, and then I thought Ralph may have gotten away with a travel. It looked awkward as he gathered himself to go up and finish.
The whole thing was a little awkward. You're right. Maybe he thought he traveled, and then that caused him to miss the shot.
To get another look at it. Yeah, that's a travel.
Yeah, for sure. He's having a hard time at the free throw line. He's 6 of 9 from the field and 0 of 3 from the line. He's usually a good free throw shooter.
And he's been one of the most consistent players throughout the West Coast Conference. In 32 games for Pacific this year, he's scored in double figures in 27 of them. So Dave Smart has had a reliable player that he knows he can count on a good performance from.
Well, Washington just stole it right away from Cluett. Washington blocked. Fisher fouled, and Washington hit the floor hard. Man.
That block was spectacular from Duckett, not quitting on the play. He may have gotten away with a little bit of a foul on the follow-through. Washington will see if he's all right, but that was an explosive contest to the rim.
Big time. Washington just took the ball away.
Oh, yeah, that's a foul.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Got hammered right across the face.
No wonder it took him a few extra seconds to get up. Holy cow.
And then they did call the foul with Fisher on the follow attempt. So Elijah Fisher makes the first. Pacific's getting to the line a lot in this half.
Yeah, I mean, you can even have an argument that that's a flagrant foul if the official catches it, watches it at the right angle, and wants to take a look at the monitor.
Yeah. Instead, they didn't call anything on that one. Both free throws good. Lamar Washington still trying to see out of his left eye as he runs down the court. Dangerous skip pass. Duckett down the lane. Duckett lays it in.
Nice finish. Gets downhill on the pick and roll, and then creativity on the inside hand finish.
I can see why you like him. He's got 10 to lead the Toreros.
For being a freshman, he plays with a lot of poise. He's clearly got the athleticism, and he's taken advantage of that extra burst that he has a number of occasions.
Jamerson, he needs to play some volleyball after that block. Shot clock winding down. Washington trying to get a shot off. Dishes to Ralph, and Ralph, no whistle, missed the dunk, had it blocked. Fluid poked away, and they call the foul against Washington.
And Jamerson, 2 big-time blocks on that last possession. The volleyball spike, as you mentioned, and then meeting Ralph at the rim. Get another look, hopefully at both. Here's the first one. Second one, great pass.
Woo.
That is spectacular timing for Jamerson.
But back on this end, Cluett, good free throw shooter, makes the first in the bonus front end of the 1-and-1. One more free throw coming. 5-point lead for Pacific, and essentially game clock and shot clock are synced up now. So if the Tigers play it right, they'll have the final shot of the half. No Washington on the floor for this final possession. So we'll see who initiates for Pacific. Clock down to 6. Jones into the corner. Fisher drives, almost had it stolen, gets the shot off and hits it as the buzzer goes off, and that shot is going to count.
Kind of about how the way the first half went for Pacific. Struggled taking care of the ball at times, not getting into crisp, clean offense, but they shot the heck out of it. Nearly 60% from the field in that first half.
They went to the monitor just to make sure he got it off. That basket counts, and that's a positive way for the Tigers to finish the half. They shot the ball extremely well. Not their calling card as a team.
Making distance.
Yeah, you heard Coach Smart talking to Jordan Robinson before they went to the locker room about that exact issue. Clean it up, make the simple play, take care of the ball, and I think otherwise feeling pretty good about the way they played. Well, for San Diego, it wasn't all bad. They had a couple nice individual performances as well. Pacific has the ball to start the second half. Ralph trying to feed Fisher along the baseline and finally gets it to him. Fisher working his way to the bucket, missed the shot, rebound. That's Santiago Truitt. They need a little more from him. He played pretty well in the 2 head-to-head matchups against Pacific and didn't do much in the first half.
Well, Pacific's got 3 players on the season, Fisher, Ralph, and Washington, that all averaged in double figures. Each of them had great first halves. They rarely have had a game all year long where all 3 have played well, resulting in a win. Maybe tonight's the night.
Truitt had his shot blocked, somehow got the ball back and found Devin Dalkey, who makes the 3.
Needed 3 from Devin Dalkey. 0 of 2 from the field in the first half. Really didn't find space to create opportunities in that first half.
Wasn't looking like a great possession for the Toreros, and they get 3 points out of it. Elias Ralph down low. He was one of those guys Dan was just talking about. Missed that shot, though.
But if you allow him one-on-one in the post, he's going to take advantage more times than not. San Diego played him one-on-one on the low block.
Dalkey, not a great pass. Washington steals it away. That's a reach-in foul, I believe, against Pacific. Well, let's check in with Jordan Robinson. She talked to Steve Lavin as they came out of the locker room from halftime.
Yes, I caught up with him, and first I asked about how he's going to manage Simon's minutes for the next 20 with those 4 fouls. He said they're just going to mix up their defenses, keep talking to him about he can contest shots without fouling, really digging into there. But overall, he liked that the 15 points off those 10 Tiger turnovers, and the overall message at halftime was more resistance on defense. Pacific is getting too into their seams and not getting enough, as another 3 drills it from the corner. Pacific is getting too much into their seams, and also more patience on offense. Make sure they're getting the right shots at the right time, guys.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Those were a lot of bullet points from Coach Lavin. He had a lot to say.
Well, he's always been tremendously gracious with his time, sharing about his team with the media. But I think he's right in regards to continuing to change up their defenses. With no true point guard on Pacific's roster, it's put them in kind of no man's land a few times, resulting in turnovers.
Good defense by Ralph after he made the three on the other end. He hit the floor hard. That is a shot clock violation. Might have turned his right ankle. Pacific doesn't want to lose him. Elias Ralph has been really good. Last year we mentioned that game. They did end up getting to 43. And of course, Dave Smart wasn't here. None of the players were here. It's a brand new Pacific team. They shot 25%. They gave up more than 100. Lost massively in this game and playing a whole lot better 1 year later.
Well, that's one thing that can happen in this day and age is you can turn your program around in very little time because of the transfer portal, and you can attract players in the portal through the NIL. Dave Smart, he was essentially the Coach K of Canadian basketball. 13 national titles in 18 years. Wants the challenge of seeing if his system works in the States.
Bucket by Pacific. Then the defensive stop. Coulibaly tried to dish it down low. Offensive foul. Out of control. And he just bowled over, I think it was Dalkey who drew the charge.
Coulibaly, one of the fastest players end-line to end-line in the WCC. Doesn't put the brakes on there. Runs right through Devin Dalkey. That's an easy call for the official.
He's very fast. He has a hard time slowing down sometimes.
Yes. And that's an undervalued skill in basketball. So many people talk about, athleticism. Part of it is slowing down. Luka Doncic, you wouldn't call him a tremendously fast athlete, but the way he slows down to create opportunities is unbelievable.
Dalkey down the lane, had his shot partially blocked. The loose ball, tip up, no good, and now a foul on the third attempt. Stephen Jamerson very persistent there. Jazz Gardner called for that personal. Toreros with a long huddle. Jamerson makes the first free throw. He got into foul trouble, Dan, in the first half. When he was on the floor, he was good.
He picked up those 2 fouls, which is one of the reasons Simon picked up the 4, because Jamerson stayed on the bench with 2. Steve Lavin would rather Simon pick up an extra 1 as opposed to Jamerson. But the made free throw allows them to pick up their full court press again.
Fisher somehow got out of that double team, and now numbers for Pacific. Wide open 3, no good. Rocket pitch, can't have a better look than that, just didn't make it. Shama to Jamerson. Cut off by Gardner, missed the shot, stays with it, and puts it in. Well, without Lamar Washington on the floor, he picked up his 3rd foul. The offense a little less organized. One dribble, though, and Jazz Gardner dunks it home.
Well, with so much pressure on the ball, as soon as it gets beat, you have to run back in defensive transition. San Diego did not do a good job of it, resulting in an easy opportunity for Jazz Gardner.
We talked with some of the Pacific folks before this game, and they really struggled to get transition baskets during the year. That 3 is good from Cody Cluett. He's been pretty quiet since he made his first. More pressure, and again, Pacific breaks it and might have a chance for a fast break bucket. Ralph almost traveled.
It was close, that's for sure. That's where you come to a 2-foot stop.
Fisher did travel.
You break the press, stay in attack mode. Pacific doing just that. Krivakopich finding Jazz Gardner for the easy 2-hand finish over the top. But Cody Cluett has been a little quiet after a monster game.
State await on Saturday. So from here on out, this is the only game of the night, afternoon and night here at the Orleans. After this, until championship day on Tuesday, we'll have 2 men's games every day. Jeffrey Anderson, meanwhile, I guess the clock didn't start properly. So let's redo. right, now here we go. With 15 minutes to play and a 3-point lead for Pacific. Washington on the bench for a few minutes back in. That shot did everything but go down, but again on the offensive glass, Steven Jamerson. He's been very active.
He's been a thorn in the side of Pacific. He's scored on the low block a number of times and active on the offensive glass. 12 points now on the night, trending towards possibly his 5th double-double of the season.
They're going to call Gardner for the foul. He just bulldozed over Joey Chamwa. Chamwa draws the offensive foul, so that's 3rd personal against Gardner, and that counts as another Pacific turnover.
Chamwa does a nice job there. When you're smaller, you have to understand situations and being a pest out on the floor, not allowing Gardner to get where he wanted.
Chamwa gets it back from Cluett. Now a whistle down low, and I think that's going to be against Pacific again.
I think it's Gardner again.
I thought it was, but I think they called it against somebody else. I was with you. I thought that was going to be number 4 on Jazz Gardner. Instead, it was... Did they call Ralph the foul? I think they did. 19 to shoot for San Diego. Just trying to find a little opening. He is pretty fearless to go inside. Missed that shot again, though. Tigers ball leading by 1. Ralph passed up the 3, drives, dishes to Fisher, who draws the foul.
That possession is all predicated on the IQ and the skill level of Ralph. Attacking a closeout because he got the defense up out of the stance with a shot fake, puts the defense in rotation, and then the ability to find Fisher underneath, pinning another foul on Duckett, which Steve Lavin's already had to figure out some foul trouble throughout players tonight. Thankfully for him, it's only Duckett's 2nd.
Fisher makes the free throw. Yeah, I mean, you and I were marveling in the first half. David Simon, who was playing well, picked up his 3rd, stayed in the game, picked up his 4th, and we thought he was staying in the game even after his 4th foul in the first half.
Well, because Jamerson had those 2 again, Simon had to stay in. A lot of coaches have a hard decision to make, and many are very adamant. You pick up 2 in the first half, you're done until the 2nd.
Off the screen, the 3, no. Now, though, a foul on the floor against Pacific. They're having a hard time with Steven Jamerson. You can see why Coach Lavin wants to protect him, and that is going to be against Gardner, I think. And that is his 4th. That's a big call.
Well, Gardner late to get himself in position for the block out because Jamerson's so active on the glass. Creates a problem every time the ball goes up. He's relentless going and getting it.
That's a huge factor here, especially in the second half. Cluett goes to the basket with the left hand. Cody Cluett from NAIA to Division II to the WCC. Now Jamerson jumps into the passing lane, steals it away. A deflection, though, sort of sloppy ball handling, and the Toreros give it right back.
Pacific is just throwing the ball all over the place right now. When they've had good spacing and broke the press, they've gotten good looks. They've been hesitant. San Diego's been able to speed them up, create turnovers, get in transition themselves.
We are talking about 26 minutes of basketball so far and 15 turnovers.
It's a team that doesn't necessarily play fast. He will give them the freedom to play in the first 8 seconds of the shot clock, but they're slower tempo than most teams in the WCC outside of maybe St. Mary's, which that usually goes a team that takes great care of the basketball.
Fisher, I thought maybe kind of rushed that shot, missed it on the other end, so now San Diego has a chance to get the lead. 1-1, under 13 to play. Cluett starting to be more aggressive on the offensive end. He found his teammate Jamerson, and the first time that San Diego has led since it was 18-17.
But again, a made basket allows San Diego to pick up in one of the different variations of their press.
See if the Tigers, though, can attack. Ralph finds his teammate who missed the dunk, and they're going to count the basket. Say goaltend. Gaines didn't finish there, but the basket will count.
Good pass from Cluett, finding Jamerson on the dunk, and then, quite frankly, Jamerson got lucky because from my vantage point, I thought it was going to be called a foul.
Instead, just the goaltend in the basket. Pacific back up by 1. It's not just been a shooter, he's been a creator here, and I think he got tripped. Also then took a shot to the midsection.
Alpha got hit in the face.
Punched in the face, you're right. He might be bleeding from the lip. Jeffrey Anderson asking, are you taking him out, or you get a short amount of time to try to stop the bleeding and the player doesn't have to come out of the game.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Headbutt.
Nobody was feeling good after that.
Not at all. I'm sure being from Canada, he's played plenty of hockey growing up. Hockey players would just say, hey, brush it off, let's keep going.
Yeah, there'd be no stoppage of play. Elias Ralph from Alberta, Canada. Cody Cluett from San Marcos, California, finishing his college career back close to home at San Diego. They both free throws. Now Pacific, got bailed out there. Apparently San Diego touched the ball.
In particular, though, after a made free throw, they're really able to pick up their pressure, and more times than just that possession, Pacific has caught the ball deep along the baseline, so their spacing and the angles to be able to provide relief is not good.
Trying to get it in. They do to Washington. Ralph on the attack. Ralph draws that foul against Jamerson. So third foul against Jamerson. Elias Ralph to the free throw line. While you watch West Coast Conference action, join the conversation. Hashtag WCC Hoops. They brainstormed. What should the hashtag be? WCC Hoops. For the latest news, features, and more, follow WCC Hoops on X. Free throw good from Ralph, who struggled at the line in the first half. Seth Jones comes back in for Pacific.
Coach Smart got good news recently with all of the changes in the NCAA with eligibility requirements. Ralph will be coming back for another year. They initially thought they were just going to have him for 1 year after transferring from the University of Victoria.
Yeah, only one player went through their senior ceremonies the other day. Pacific can bring just about everybody back, including Ralph. He was the one I think they were most excited about, that sort of a change in the ruling. Chama down the lane, and a jump ball. Good defense by Seth Jones to get his hands on it. The arrow does favor San Diego. That'll take us to the under 12 timeout. Exactly like the last regular season meeting between these two teams. Back and forth, lead changes. Torreira's on a little push. They're down one with 11.
He's got 5 offensive rebounds, but he has been a difference maker as they try to find him with the shot clock winding down.
And a foul on the three-point shot. Koulibaly fouled Cluett. Well, that was a pretty good little play. Jamerson catches an immediate turn and pass to Cluett for the three.
That was a great baseline out of bounds execution. Had Jamerson caught it cleanly, it was a look at the front of the rim, and then the secondary action was a flare screen, to get Cluett free. Not much of a foul there, but each player has their own cylinder. You can't come into their space. Cluett gets brushed by on the lower body from Coulibaly.
He's got 13 perfect at the line, has 2 more coming. Makes the second to put the Toreros back ahead.
But by them being at the free throw line and a good free throw shooter in Cluett, it allows them on a make to really set up their pressure, which Pacific has struggled with throughout the game.
He made them all. Let's see if they get a little pressure going.
It's kind of a 2-2-1 look instead of a trap on the inbound pass.
Lamar Washington gets the ball back and calls a play. Ralph put it on the floor and got fouled. San Diego's already in the bonus. Pacific's committed 8 fouls in this half. Ralph off the inbound, gives it up. Here's a contested 3, no good. Long rebound. Toreros have it. Cluett dishes and a fumble and then a turnover.
Webb missed a great opportunity for an easy bucket underneath by the great pass from Cluett.
Another 3 try. Left side, this one good. Kravakovic missed one a moment ago, makes that one.
Well, he has found open space in the corner throughout the game. Previous possession, I thought he was searching for his own shot too much. That time, open jumper.
Duckett hits that one. San Diego back ahead. We've had 15 lead changes in this game.
Par for the course based on how these two teams played each other earlier in the season.
Makes for a fun tournament matchup. Washington will shoot the 3. Ralph, offensive rebound. Was starting to fall down, tried to pass it off and turned it over. Here comes Duckett in San Diego. The freshman on the attack lays it in. Washington shot clock winding down, calls for a screen. Ralph, 3. Too strong, rebound, Toreros.
Pacific not necessarily a team that really hunts the three-point shot. Kravakovic has hit a number tonight, but no one else has been able to get on track from beyond the arc.
That's a tough shot, in and out, no good. And the Tigers get a much-needed defensive rebound. Washington finds Jones, wide open 3. That one's good.
Those are the threes you want to hunt. The open ones in transition. Get your deep spacing in the corner. If defense helps, you're going to be wide open.
Game tied again. 5 ties, 15 lead changes with still almost 9 minutes to go. We haven't seen the guy with 4 fouls, David Simon, at all in this second half.
I think a lot of that's due to Jamerson not picking up that third. He has been productive. Don't need to give him a break if he doesn't need it due to foul trouble.
Washington will go to the free throw line. And he sort of landed awkwardly.
Duckett is doing everything he can to get some buckets. Pull up over the top of Ralph. And you have to honor the jump shot. He's got the quickness, the ability to get downhill, get in the lane. Nice finish.
This was the shot that you said. That's the one you want. Right?
Exactly right. Yeah. Those open threes, you will take those all game long. And honestly, in a situation like that, you would be doing your team a disservice if you don't shoot it. Too many times you'll see guys second guess those because maybe they're early in the shot clock. But you've got to be a threat every time you shoot it or catch it.
Washington made both free throws. So Pacific back up by 2. Look who's in the game. It's number 4, Mr. 4 fouls, David Simon. Lavin was listening to us. Trying to find his teammate down low, and not a great pass.
You have a 6'10 Jamerson rolling to the rim. Throw it where the guards can't get a piece of it.
How about Washington behind the back pass, and Jones makes another 3. That was nifty.
Well, Jones only 17 made threes on the season coming in. Back-to-back threes now to extend this Pacific lead.
Simon had it stolen away. Loose ball, though, and the Toreros fall on it. They're going to say held ball. Arrow favors Pacific. So the Tigers do end up coming away with it.
Lamar Washington showing a little flair. Getting the ball over to Seth Jones, knocking it down. Pacific. Right. You've got to finish the play for your teammate.
San Diego not shooting quite as well as the Tigers, not known for their shooting, but up over 50%. And Lamar Washington, 7 more assists, adding to his single-season Pacific record. Well, San Diego got the lead, and now the Tigers have gone on an 8-0 run with a couple of threes, a big part of it.
You see they're putting Simon in pick and roll. He's got 4 fouls. See if they can't create an advantage in his 5th foul.
Now they got Simon trying to defend Washington. Jones, shot fake, baseline, air ball. Simon had it taken away. Washington just stole it right from him.
5th steal of the afternoon for Washington.
And he finds another shooter, no good. Ralph way up high for the offensive rebound. But then he gets it stolen away.
Mentioned Washington's 5th steal kind of negated by Ralph's 5th turnover after getting a great offensive rebound from the weak side.
Yeah, Elias Ralph, he's done everything else well. Just a little too loose with the ball. Cluett couldn't shoot the 3, so he goes to the basket, draws a foul. Which, the way he shoots free throws, that's a good result. He makes them all.
Gotten to the line, 7 of 7 now on the game, but we were talking during the break, Cluett's got that game where when he's 40 in San Marcos, he is going to be a rec league legend. He can shoot it, he can put the ball on the deck, he plays at his own pace, he's smart.
Look, obviously the athletic tools, there's a reason he started his career at the NAIA level. Not an explosion athlete, but he works with what he has. And to your point, he gets to the basket. Made both free throws. More pressure set up from San Diego.
Well, I think that's one of the undervalued traits of athleticism is your awareness of spacing, your hand-eye coordination. And he takes advantage of having the opportunity to use those when he can.
Simon almost sat in my lap. Stay on the court, David. Collided with our table. Good hustle play.
Interesting. They've got Simon now matched up with Koulibaly.
Now he has to guard Washington. He's got 4 fouls. See if Washington attacks him. He did, but he missed the shot. So Simon actually played pretty good D there without fouling. Ball out of bounds off of the Toreros.
Sometimes when a player picks up their 4th foul and you're trying to foul him out, you get out of sorts offensively, trying to just go at that matchup. Pacific hasn't defensively this half, forcing Pacific into 41% free throw shooting. An important baseline out of bounds defensive stance here.
Washington gets it into Ralph, gets a shot up, missed it. It did hit iron, so no shot clock violation, but Toreros got the stop that they needed. Devin Dahlke back in the game out of the timeout. Cluett over the top. Jamerson catches, and he'll shoot free throws. The fouls are piling up for Pacific.
Tremendous execution to get into high-low action there. Steve Lavin must have saw something that he wanted to take advantage of coming out of that timeout. Jamerson back to the free throw line where he's a pretty good shooter for a big.
Shoots it very high. And it works. Nobody's missed a free throw in this second half. We've had a lot of free throws shot, and everybody's made them. Including both there from Jamerson.
And again, it allows them to get into the full court pressure. You got to have great spacing and be decisive if you're Pacific.
Washington from Fisher, 3-on-1. Washington takes it all the way. The follow dunk from Ralph. Steve Lavin arguing that ball was in the cylinder, but no goaltend called. Under 6 to go. Jamerson double team, so he found Simon, who scores.
A great pass out of the double from Jamerson, but an even better finish from Simon. You mentioned his left hand in the first half. Another usage of it.
He loves the left hand. It's pretty impressive for a young big man. Washington. Shot blocked by Simon. And then Duckett was fouled. And that means 2 free throws on the other end. It's double bonus already.
Again, you break the press with great spacing, then you must be decisive. Washington attacking the rim. Ralph, because defensive transition hasn't filled in the backflow, is allowed to finish it off the rim.
And it was close. I can see why Steve Lavin was arguing, but
what coach hasn't argued?
Yes,
though, right?
Correct. There's never been a correct call in the history of basketball, according to head coaches. Duckett makes the first of 2. Tied again. 5:12 to go. Tony Duckett from Carlsbad, local kid, playing his first championship week game. He's got 16 points with still 5 minutes to go.
That's what you love to see from a freshman, though, too, is continuing to grow throughout the season. A little bit of a slow start, but he's been really good as of late.
There was a whistle blown. Nobody could hear the whistle, apparently. Provocapic was the guy who got fouled. Now, who'd they call that foul on? Okay, Cody Cluett, the guy who committed the personal foul. His second. Making free throws on both sides. Provocapic, the one guy who did have his senior day, who won't be back for the Tigers next year. Hoping this is not his final college game. He's into double figures now. Look at those free throw shooting numbers on both sides. Really impressive. Duckett, pull up, no good. Loose ball, Simon came away with it and scores. Left hand again. I think he's ambidextrous.
He must be. I'm guessing he shoots free throws with the right, signs his name with the left.
It's an interesting profile, but he's playing really well when he's not fouling. Washington trying to attack, and that'll be a blocking foul. That could have been an offensive foul.
Medalke really active, good positioning early in this possession. Gets through that screen. That's close. Washington does what you're taught as an attacking guard. Get your shoulder down by the defender.
I don't know.
That's close. I mean, I could have absolutely seen it go the other way and not been in argument.
Both free throws good. 20 lead changes now. 9 ties. Back and forth we go.
What better way to start the first day of the WCC than lead changes left and right?
Now the late whistle there. Dahlke will shoot free throws after that shot didn't go. Well, be sure to stay after the game. We got our WCC Championship Central show right here on ESPN Plus. Highlights here from coaches. Preview upcoming matchups presented by Sterling Global Financial, an official partner of West Coast Conference basketball in Las Vegas. So Eric and Ernie are standing by, getting ready to break this one down. That was the 4th foul against Washington. That's a big call. Finally, a free throw miss in the second half. And it means we stay tied, 69 apiece. Washington with the 4 fouls, and he was in the cylinder. So it's a block. Otherwise, that was going to be number 5.
It's almost as if Washington knew he was going to get called for a charge because he didn't release the shot. He kind of gave up and figured it was his foul. But, yeah, Jamerson doesn't get outside of the restricted circle.
It was close.
Wow. But if you look closely, it looks as if he is outside of it. Interesting call from the official.
So that's his 4th instead of the 5th on Washington. Obviously, that's huge. And they show the replay up on the big board, and Steve Lavin and his team, they really believe that Jamerson was outside that restricted area.
The only explanation I would think is you have to be set as a defender when that offensive player's plant foot is already established going into his move.
Spin move and score. Jamerson ties the game again. He's had a bunch of those moves. Jazz Gardner in with 4 fouls, and both the San Diego big men, Simon and Jamerson, each have 4. So does the point guard Lamar Washington, who's not in foul trouble.
Seems as if everybody is. It's been a parade to the free throw line for both teams in the second half.
Ralph, 1 dribble. Fisher back to Ralph. He had it stripped away. San Diego numbers. Crossover move and a really good one, and then Duckett just airballed the layup. I don't know what happened there. He made a great move. He got to the rim and just short-armed it. And then San Diego commits the foul on that end. Well, that's a pretty big little sequence there. Instead of a Toreros lead, it's still tied 71 apiece with 3:14 to go. 71-71. Dave Fleming, Dan Dickow here in Las Vegas. Really good game with 3:14 to go at the free throw line. Elias Ralph. This is the last 1-and-1 opportunity. Came up short. For as well as he shot the ball overall, he's got a thing going at the free throw line.
3 of 7 from the line. He has been active, 20 points, 9 rebounds. And the unfortunate thing for him is 6 turnovers.
Cluett hits a 3 after his defender got rocked backwards. And the Toreros back up by 3. Dahlke almost steals it right from Washington.
For a team that's struggled this year, only 2 conference wins in San Diego, you got to appreciate their grit that they've shown tonight. They didn't shoot it well at all in the first half. They could have easily packed it in early, but guys like Cluett, Jamerson have stepped up and competed.
Meanwhile, a big shot from Cluett, and I think the point you make is really good. Bad news, though, for the Toreros. They called that foul on Steven Jamerson. At the game last year, they lost in this first-round matchup to Pepperdine by like 60. A much different, much better Pacific team this year. So this game is like the perfect example of how it feels low stakes if you just look at the win-loss record. And it's first round of a conference tournament. It does not feel that way at all for these 2 teams.
No, you don't. And, you know, in regards to Pacific, there's just a different energy around the program under Dave Smart as opposed to the recent few years where they've really struggled. you look at the 4 wins, they swept Washington State, which had you told someone early in the season that was going to happen, they probably wouldn't have believed you. And that included a big-time win on the road in Pullman, where Lamar Washington hit a game winner as the game clock wound down. He had 40 in that game. So there's a process to every program and how it gets built. And I think they're going about it the right way.
Elias Ralph, 2 free throws, struggled at the line, made that one no problem. 8 for San Diego, down to 2 with 1 more free throw to come. And that one rattles out.
The only problem now for USD with Jamerson having fouled out, they really don't have a post presence. Simon, not much of a scorer on the low block. Everything is going to be directed by their guards and Fluid coming off screens, I would imagine.
Duckett. Over to Dalkey, and he got fouled. Well, nobody likes a game where whistles are happening as frequently as this one, but I mean, for most of these calls, those are clear fouls.
Yeah, and that foul in particular there comes with a poor closeout. You're going against a shooter in rotation, and Dalkey, you have to respect it, but you got to close out under control, understanding where your help's coming from, where you want to direct the ball. If you get beat on that direct line drive, you got to keep your hands off it. 2 hands go out, it's almost an automatic call for the officials.
Late shot clock, not a great possession, and in the bonus, you give San Diego the 2 free throws. Dalkey made the first. Made that one. Two minutes to go. Washington somehow got it in the corner. Now underneath the basket. Knocked out of bounds. So Pacific will keep it with 1:59 on the clock. 4-point lead for the Toreros. Open. Right corner. 3 goes down. All of his made threes up till now
Tonight have been on the left corner. That time finds an opening in the right corner, knocks it down, makes this an interesting 1-point game under 2 minutes to play.
Back and forth we go. San Diego with one of their best players on the bench with 5 fouls. Fluid, baseline, cut off. Simon 3, no. But Webb there for the offensive rebound. Shot clock under 10. Dalkey had nowhere to go with the ball, out of bounds, and he threw it away. Not tipped by Pacific. That's a San Diego turnover. Dalkey slow to get up.
He got hit on a previous possession. He wasn't moving well the last couple trips down the floor. It's a case of penetrating into no man's land, though.
So they are. San Diego was really adamant that Pacific had tipped that ball out of bounds, and they are going to take a look at the monitor, review this. Under 2 minutes
the
to
previous
play.
play is under review for possible out of bounds.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, it should be San Diego ball underneath. They dodge a bullet there because Dalkey drives in with nothing. No release, no outlet for a shot or a clear pass, but that should be USD ball. I see it as off Ralph. Do you agree?
I thought I did, but then that second replay, I'm not totally sure.
So the first replay, I thought it was clearly off Ralph. We could take another look with our terrific production crew. Maybe we can. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
You got 20/20 vision there, Dave. I think you're right. I think it looked like Ralph hit it, but it should be on second glance Pacific basketball.
It's almost like a magic trick that it didn't hit either of those two, but I don't think it did. So if the call holds up, Pacific will have it down 1 with 1:16 to go. Steve Lavin, obviously it's huge, waiting to find out whether his team's going to be playing offense or defense. They're going to look at it again. It's a very big call. I mean, the review process in college basketball sometimes can drive you a little nuts. These are the kind of ones, though, that a minute to go, a 1-point game in a tournament setting. If you have the replay system, you want to make sure you get
further review. Ball is out of bounds. It will be White's ball.
Yeah, and I think ultimately they got the call right in real time.
Yeah, I agree. They got it right. Good job from the officials to go make sure on the monitor, but there are a lot of reviews that unfortunately take a lot of time, but with the stakes, you got to get it right.
So now Pacific down 1. San Diego setting up a little bit of that pressure. Ralph set the screen. Jones passed up the 3. Tried to bounce it to Ralph. It got knocked out of bounds off of the Toreros. 13 to shoot.
Jones had hit 2 previous threes. Was run off the 3-point line. Kind of a lazy pass into the middle there to Ralph. In late game situations, and I think of the 3, he's the most able to create his own shot off the dribble. With that being said, if he gets in a position where he gets into the paint, collapses the defense, everyone else got to be ready to be decisive, knock down a shot.
Good point. He is the inbound passer here. Out of the timeout, Pacific. Running their play, and it goes right through the legs of Ralph, but somehow went to Fisher. Fisher throws it up, no whistle. Saved inbounds, off of Ralph, and San Diego gets it back.
I don't know if I have ever seen that happen on a baseline out of bounds.
It went through Ralph's legs, and it went right to his teammate.
But it's almost, we get another look at it. The inbounder, Washington, has to understand spacing. That's probably not a bounce pass. That's an air pass or throw it onto the next guy.
Even so, Pacific still had an opportunity because it came right to Fisher, who I think was anticipating a whistle. And I guess you give Webb and San Diego credit for not fouling. Now they're reviewing the out-of-bounds call. They said it was off of the Tigers, so they'll look at this one.
It was a good vertical challenge by Webb there. Someone who hasn't played a ton of minutes throughout the season. Stepped up big. With Jamerson fouling out and Simon being in foul trouble through much of the game.
I do think Ralph was the last one to touch it there. So that means, assuming the call stands, 51.5 seconds, 30 on the shot clock for San Diego, up 1. And the Tigers, you don't have to foul. You're down 1, and there's plenty of time differential between game clock and shot clock. Get one more look at this.
Maybe they're looking at the fact that Webb's foot hit the ground as it was still in his right hand.
Maybe. That could be.
At the further review, the ball is Blues ball. We will put 51.8 seconds on the game clock.
Okay. So it was close. You're right. I think they did have to look at that part of it. But Webb kept the foot off the floor. So the ball, last touch, Ralph. San Diego up by 1.
If you're Pacific, you don't have to foul yet. But you have to make sure you finish the possession with a defensive rebound.
Chama is going to hand it to the freshman Tony Duckett. San Diego wants to use clock here. Fluid. Cut off. Yeah, very good. Shot clock down to 5. Duckett is going to go to the basket. Shot blocked, but a foul. So Duckett will go to the free throw line. Ralph knocked him off balance, and he'll get called for the personal.
Ralph caught on a switch.
Yeah, he definitely got him.
Duckett is really impressive for a freshman in how he attacks the rim.
These are very big free throws. He makes the first, no problem. 23.5 on the game clock. Now, even if he makes this one, Pacific doesn't have to necessarily shoot a three.
Yeah, I think make or miss, get the ball floor as quickly as you can and give Lamar Washington space to make a read, whether it's a rim attack or a kick out if the defense collapses.
He missed it, so it's a two-point game. There goes Washington all the way. Tip up is in from Ralph. And we got a tie game with 16 seconds. San Diego is going to call a timeout in the half court with 12.7 seconds on the clock. 77-77.
Exactly as we just talked about. Get Lamar Washington the ball and give him an opportunity to get to the rim. USD not able to block out Ralph, who's been a problem. That 6th offensive rebound, the tip in.
And I think that's part of why you were talking about Washington on the attack. He requires so much attention because he is so good at that. And Ralph's man went to help out, and Ralph was all alone for that tip-in to tie the game. All right, so now you see the game situation. Both teams do have a timeout. That's important for the Toreros just in case they get caught in a bad situation. They still have one timeout. And nobody has foul to give, double bonus, which would argue being aggressive here if you're San Diego.
Well, I think when you look at it, you've got a couple different guys that you can go to. Cluett's put together a nice game. Duckett has been hard to keep out of the paint for Pacific. So I would imagine or expect something is run in regards to get Cluett maybe on a pin down or get space in an isolation situation for Duckett.
And it probably goes without saying, but I think it's worth saying out loud. You want the final shot. You don't want to give Pacific a chance. You got the shot clock off, tie game. San Diego's worst case scenario should be overtime.
That's exactly, I'm sure, what Steve Lavin is telling him. We must take the last shot. I would imagine the shot being taken 2 seconds or under, not allowing maybe a long rebound to occur and igniting a Pacific fast break in the other direction with just enough time to make something happen.
So they added 0.3 of a second to the clock. So you got 13 seconds even out of the timeout. We'll see what Coach Lavin has drawn up for his team. He got Duckett in the backcourt. And they'll get it into him. Under 10. Simon's going to set the screen. Duckett goes. Duckett all the way to the basket. Missed it, but he got fouled. And I think he did get hit in the head on the layup attempt with 3 seconds left. The freshman Tony Duckett will go to the line.
They ran the high ball screen again. Once again, Ralph on the switch, not able to contain Duckett, fouling him, putting him to the line for 2 free throws. Possibly the 2 biggest free throws of his career.
And Seth Jones was arguing he slapped him right in the face. I don't think there's much argument on that one. To put San Diego ahead. Got it. Pacific does have one timeout.
Not like the NBA where you can call a timeout and advance the ball, but you do have the added benefit of Lamar Washington, his attacking demeanor, and able to get down the floor in a hurry and get a shot off.
Second free throw here for Duckett. And he made that one. Pacific is going to call timeout. And I think that's the reason why. Because you can't advance it, if you inbound it, take a dribble or two, then call timeout, you almost could be out of time. So you set up a play even from the far baseline to try to tie the game or win it.
But with 3 seconds, you've got plenty of time to make at least a pass or probably 2 dribbles at most. One of the things you got to be aware of, USD is on baseline out of bounds, picked up full court pressure almost every time. So if you're Pacific, you have to understand your spacing. Can you make
against this San Diego pressure defense? We'll see how Steve Lavin plays it. 3 seconds away from an opening round win in this WCC tournament for a team that struggled so mightily all year long. But they're looking for their second straight win. They had 6 guys on the court. You can't, don't do that. Oh my goodness. You got to get organized with who's in the game. Kean Webb is the guy who's checking in, trying to make sure that he officially entered himself in the game.
They're going to put him, it looks like, on the inbounder, Lamar Washington. Webb at 6'11".
3 seconds to go. 2-point lead for San Diego. Washington can run the baseline here to try to get away from Webb. See what kind of pass he can make. Washington going to heave it into traffic. Dunk it. Intercepts it, and then he got fouled. Now, not much time went off the clock there.
But that's the advantage of having the 6'11" Webb on the baseline inbounder. Lamar Washington not able to get a good look and wasn't able to throw it on a direct line.
Yeah, that was just a prayer. Now, if he makes both, it's over. Made the first. I say it's over. I guess you could have a three-pointer and a foul, but barring a disaster, if he makes this one, the Toreros are in business. Tony Duckett, the freshman, made them both. 2 seconds. A heave from midcourt. Doesn't matter. It's no good. And San Diego, after all the losing during the regular season, Steve Lavin's team, they got themselves a winning streak. They're second in a row.
2-game winning streak. Finish off the regular season on a high note.